lads, and welcome back to another video. Now, you will have noticed in the last week that I've not really posted a hell of a lot. I missed last weekend, despite the fact that it was the first weekend of Scottish football being back fully. That was the first weekend I've missed since the start of lockdown posting videos. I didn't know how to bring it back. I didn't know how to bring it back in a video format, basically. So I've taken a week off and I've tried to come up with a sort of format for this coming weekend. So hopefully you will see content on the channel based around the return of Scottish football this coming weekend. However, for this video, it is not that. As you know by the title, it is about the transfers that have been going on in the last week or so within the lower leagues of Scottish football mainly. A couple in the Premiership, but mainly in the lower leagues. As you can see, once again, graphics provided by United Feed on Instagram, so if you want, go across and give him a follow. Just basically showing my appreciation for the fact that he took time to make these graphics after I requested him to do so for me. Appreciate that. However, you will be seeing other photos on this screen throughout this video. And without further ado, it's the first signing in the video, and it is indeed Danny Swanson signing a 2-year deal at East Fife. Now, I think this one came as a massive surprise to a lot of people within Scottish football because Danny Swanson, of course, has been pretty much a Premiership player for the last 4 or 5 years at the very least. Probably more than that, I'm just probably underestimating it there, but he's chosen now to go to part-time football. And as a wee kind of research into this, I went and watched his interview when he signed for East Fife, and it was done via a Zoom video call, so a sign of the times, I suppose. And it was a sign of the times that led Danny Swanson to signing a 2-year deal with East Fife. He openly said in the interview itself that he had been offered full-time gigs within Scottish football, but the money that was involved in the contracts, etc., wasn't really benefiting him in terms of the switch between full-time and part-time. So he thought that him being a relatively older player now, in 33 I believe he said he was, that he felt like the right step was to go into part-time football and perhaps gain another profession alongside playing football, of course, which you can't really blame him for, to be fair. It's a decent enough move, especially for East Fife as a club, because it's a massive coup. I mean, Danny Swanson could have probably still gotten a gig in the bottom end of the Premiership at the very least, and definitely within the Championship. I know there was quite a few Championship fans that would have wanted his services this coming season. But East Fife have snapped him up. 2-year deal, you can't argue it. I said on Twitter that it was the League One transfer of the summer so far, and I can't really say that I think any different from that as of now. So next we jump up to the Premiership, and Aberdeen have made a signing of striker Ryan Edmondson on loan from Leeds. Now, of course, you've got Sam Cosgrove, who's now out for around 3 or 4 months. Curtis Main's currently out injured. And then you've got Bruce Anderson, who started at the weekend against Rangers. And for me, Bruce Anderson will never get the rub of the green at Aberdeen because I just don't think Derek McInnes plays the type of football that means Bruce Anderson, like, you're going to get the best out of him in a way, because I've seen Bruce Anderson in the flesh on loan at Dunfermline, and Bruce Anderson's a player that, obviously, he's not the tallest of players, so lumping the ball up to him is probably not the best scenario. Playing the ball into his feet or playing it in behind for him to run onto is probably more of his type of game, and it simply just isn't the type of game that Aberdeen, under Derek McInnes, are likely to play. So Ryan Edmonds, just realised, there he is, Ryan Edmondson on the screen. Ryan Edmondson coming in is just not really going to benefit Bruce Anderson's development overall, because Ryan Edmondson is yet another taller striker who plays into the hands of how Derek McInnes likes to play. As I'm saying, and as I said on Twitter after the signing was made, justice for Bruce Anderson, because even despite the fact that he started at the weekend, the service up to him was minimal, because you just simply can't play to the style that Bruce Anderson adheres to under Derek McInnes. It's more suited to a Ryan Edmondson type, Curtis Main, Sam Cosgrove, etc, etc. On the Ryan Edmondson signing, he could be decent. He scored a decent amount of goals at Leeds under 23 level, I believe it was, but I don't know, I feel a bit harsh on Bruce Anderson with this one. And I remembered to change the screen this time, and as you can see, it's one that I'm not going to be too chuffed about, am I? Joe Cardoso has re-signed with Partick Thistle. Now, this is obviously not a new signing, but obviously it was one of the players that Partick were waiting to re-sign a contract, and it's now signed on the dotted line and Joe Cardoso is going to be a Partick Thistle player in the 2020-21 season. Now, I made it very clear on Twitter around about 3 or 4 weeks ago maybe that if Joe Cardoso did not sign for Dunfermline Athletic, then I would get a tattoo of some form of reference to Joe Cardoso. So that looks like it is going to happen now, doesn't it? It's going to be a jokey reference, lads. It's not going to be anything too cringe. I will get it. Don't know when. I've got a tattoo booked in for the 18th of August. I might try and fit it in then if there's time. It'll come around at some point. I'm a man of my word, so I'll stick to that. In terms of the re-signing of Joe Cardoso to Partick Thistle, a good signing for League One level, that is of course obviously Championship level, is probably around about still the level of Joe Cardoso, but probably the lower end of the league. I would have loved him back at Dunfermline just for the sheer emotional side of it and the fact that he does indeed love the club, and he's openly said that recently, but at League One level I think Joe Cardoso will still have a massive impact, especially for a team like Partick Thistle who will be looking to dominate the majority of their games next season. A signing that Dunfermline did indeed make though was Elaine von Williams re-signing after his loan spell last season from Hamilton. Of course he had to negotiate his release for Hamilton because he was under contract there, but he's now signed a 2-year player-coach deal with us, of course, and I was delighted to have him back. Of course, I had him in my transfer list video where I spoke about which players I wanted Dunfermline to sign, and he was indeed one of those. I think he was the only goalkeeper target I actually wanted back at the club or to sign for the club this summer, so I've got to be delighted with it. He's an experienced player, and coming in as that player coach, he'll be able to bring all of his experience in international level, club level, etc., and put it onto our young keepers as well, like KuBIAK and Ben Swinton. So I can't really have anything bad to say about this signing, to be fair. It's a decent enough signing, and considering that there was a lack of goalkeeping options becoming available in the market, I think we've gotten the one that we were hoping to get. And now Falkirk's signings for the coming season, and that is indeed Kina, a former Dunfermline loanee, came on loan from Hearts in our diabolical season a couple of seasons ago. He was a good goal scorer in that period, to be fair. He scored a really good goal up at Inverness, and that one's one of the ones that keeps getting replayed when Kina's name's mentioned. He is a decent player, and I've no doubt will score goals at League One level. He's still only 21 as well, so there's plenty of room for potential to grow and really thrive, and especially because I think it was a 2-year contract he's been given at Falkirk, so plenty of time, and as I said, I've got no doubt that he'll score goals at League One level. Here's one that happened in the last 2 days, I believe it was. Morton re-signing Gary Oliver and signing Rabin Omar. Signings of different ends of the scale, as I said. Gary Oliver re-signing for Morton. He used to play for them and then was released, I believe, and signed for Kina the South, and he's been a thorn in Dunfermline side for the last few seasons, or at least since we've come back up into the Championship, and it's a signing that Morton will be glad to have, because obviously the departures of Nicky Cadden, Bob McHugh, etc., they were vital kind of additions to the Morton side in the Championship last season, so bringing back Gary Oliver, who can at least score around about the kind of 7 or 8 goals in a season amount, it's a good signing, and one that will hopefully add to other additions for them in the coming months. And then Rabin Omar, I've seen very different views on this guy. I had the impression that this guy was quite a decent player, and I still think that's my overall view, but I've seen a lot of people say that they really don't rate it, and that it's a weird one that he's even managed to get the move. And I remember making the same exact comparison to Calvin Orsay when he signed for Morton, and he's went on to be a cult hero at Morton under David Hopkins' management, and I suppose that management has really improved Calvin Orsay as a player, and if Rabin Omar isn't exactly a Championship level player, then maybe David Hopkins is the perfect manager to bring out that sort of attributes in a player to make them play better and mould into a team better than they perhaps should be on the face of it. So I'll give Rabin Omar the benefit of the doubt. I still think he could be quite a decent addition to a Morton side. We'll wait and see on it though. And now on to Dundee, the team that, I don't know, they just, some of their fans just didn't seem to rate me at all. They've signed Danny Mullen, first up, good signing, and I did slate it slightly along with their other signing on Twitter the other day when they made the signing, saying that they were ransacking St Mirren's fairly lacklustre strike force of last season, and I stand by that because it was a pretty lacklustre strike force that St Mirren did have in Danny Mullen and the later to be mentioned Alex KuBIAK from last season. I'm not going to back down from what I said. At the end of the day, it was a lacklustre strike force that St Mirren had last season in these two players. But for championship level, definitely Danny Mullen, I think, is a quality addition to any championship side. It would have been one that quite a lot of championship fans would have appreciated seeing at their clubs. So well done to Dundee on that sense, signing a player that's going to probably bag around about the same amount of goals that I said Gary Oliver would, around the 8 or 9 amount, I believe. And it'll be a good addition to their side if they can continue to build on that in the coming months. And then, as I mentioned, Alex KuBIAK also signed on the dotted line. They both signed 2-year deals, and with Alex KuBIAK, he did score a decent amount of goals for a poor Falkirk side, obviously, a couple of seasons ago. He didn't score a hell of a lot last season for St Mirren. I don't actually know if he scored at all. So it's yet to be proven if he can come back into the Championship and score the same amount of goals that he even did at Falkirk. But I'm a bit dubious more about this one than the Danny Mullen one. Again, part of that lacklustre strike force that St Mirren had last season. Just wait and see how he performs in the Championship. And now on to signings that were made today, that being Thursday. Ayr United made the signings of Tom Walsh and Michael Miller. Tom Walsh being released from Inverness. Now, I know he's had a kind of lavish injury record in recent times, but Tom Walsh is a class player for Championship level, and he's only signed a 1-year deal at Ayr. And personally, even though it's a fantastic signing for Ayr, I do believe that he'll use this year to kind of put himself in the shop window a bit and then hope for a kind of lower end Premiership move in the season after that, if it's not with Ayr United, of course, because they could get promoted. But overall, I think Tom Walsh is a really good signing, and it is one that I've seen a lot of Championship fans once again saying that they would have liked at their club. And then moving on to Michael Miller, I really don't know enough about this guy. He got released for Wraith Rovers, and honestly I've never seen him play before, so apparently he's some sort of versatile midfielder / defender, so he'll probably do a job in there for Ayr, allowing them to chop and change where he plays to suit a smaller squad that I imagine most teams will be going with this season. And then finally, Inverness made the signing of Robbie Dees on a 3-year deal for Celtic. Now, I think this is a fantastic bit of business because Robbie Dees was absolutely fantastic for Alloa last season. Part of that defence that is always a kind of rock solid unit and plays so well as a team. And he's coming up to a similar environment in Inverness because they're always quite a hard team to get past. And having lost the likes of Carl Donaldson and Jamie McCart, they were going to struggle to bring in quality additions, but I think they've done just that in this signing, so maybe they're not going to struggle as much as I think. Robbie Dees, a young player with loads of potential, and one that I think will go on to really impress up at the Tulloch Caledonian Stadium, if it's still called that. Anyway, good bit of business. And that rounds off today's video of transfer business within Scottish football, the lower leagues, etc, etc. If you did enjoy it, please give it a like, comment down below your thoughts on any of the transfer business that I spoke about in this video or anything I've missed. Subscribe for more of this type of content, and until the next video, I'll see you then. Cheers guys.